Good morning and welcome to Morning Moments. I'm so glad you came and joined us today. I have a author of a book called Jesus Loves Movies, and it's been a pleasure getting to know Phil. Phil Strangolagalli. I hope I said that right. I've been practicing on it. Phil, it's so nice to have you with us. Where, by the way, where are you at? Where are you located at?
Yeah, I'm in New York.
New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, great. And tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell me about who you are, and what do you do, and why do you do it?
Yeah. So my name's Phil Strangolagalli, super long last name. Um, I love movies, and I wrote a book. It's called Jesus Loves Movies. Basically using analyses of film to basically help people out in life. I went through a tough time in my life. I started writing. I never thought that it would become a book, but it did become a book, and it's been helping people out. So yeah.
There's stories that happen in movies, even though they're not faith based. But the stories, God can still speak to our hearts through stories, can He?
Oh yeah. I mean, these stories specifically, there are lots of different types of movies, lots of different types of stories. One of the big stories that really spoke to me was the Count of Monte Cristo. Don't know if you've seen that movie or heard the story. So it's a legendary tale of a guy. He has a lot going for him in his life, and specifically, in my life, I had a lot going for me. And Edmund, in this story, he's engaged. He's soon to be married. He gets promoted. He's captain of his ship. He's liked by a whole bunch of people. And, I went through something similar where, I felt like all of my life is going really well and everything was, happening, and it was going great. And then all of a sudden, one of Edmund's friends comes really, he gets really close. He gets a little too close, and he actually gets jealous. So he falsely accuses Edmund of doing something wrong. And so Edmund gets exiled to a prison island. And honestly, there was a point in my life where I felt like I was exiled. I was on that prison island and I had been wronged. And I had to learn how to move forward from that. And it was a very deep experience. It was a lot of forgiveness. It was a lot of moving forward and, realizing that vengeance isn't mine. So
It's really tough when you've been wronged or felt you've been wronged. You've been hurt. What do you do with those hurts? And if we're not careful, that can turn into anger and bitterness,
yep.
and it could just eat you like a spiritual cancer, eat you from the inside out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So sometimes Jesus did this too. Jesus pointed out the tree, and he pointed out the seeds. And if they were movies back then, he would have pointed out the movies back then. But he was always doing the story.
Yeah.
And there was a good Samaritan,
Yep.
and I like the use of stories that Jesus did, and movies can be very powerful to us.
Absolutely. I've heard the sermons where, I've been sitting in the chair and, I'm trying to think about what's happening and all that stuff. And then I've been in movie theaters where I have been weeping.
Yeah.
And I, connected with God on such a deep level. I mean, obviously, I've been, in those scenarios, with sermons, where they've been awesome and all that stuff. There is a point, though, to which I believe that cinema is a spiritual sanctuary, and you can find God in film. So
I've even heard of people going to Star Wars and feeling that they came closer to God because they realized the Force, according to them, is God, and they want to follow the Force.
Yeah, I mean, that's their interpretation. I don't know if I would go as far as to say that,
Yeah.
about the Force. I mean, Star Wars shows us a lot of different lessons. There's a lot of father issues that Luke is dealing with, and a lot of forgiveness that needs to happen. And there's some areas of redemption, in Star Wars. It's really a drama. It's a family drama. Every single Star Wars. But there's a lot to dive into. But yeah.
And so you wrote the book because you love movies and you also have a love for Christ, right?
Yeah, I mean, I really wrote the book because I had to write the book. It wasn't necessarily something that I was like, oh, I want to do this. It was actually something I had to do because I'd gone through such difficult time, and movies were an outlet to which I felt like God was speaking to me.
Yeah.
And so I just started writing and writing and writing, and it was literally a grief journal. I went to Nyack College where, I took this intense spiritual class. It was called Personal Spiritual Formation at Nyack College. And they had us do a grief journal of basically listing everything that we've lost in our lives and like processing through that, processing with God in that. It was intense, to say the least. But what I did was I actually took that exercise, I took that practice from that class, and I started writing and analyzing film. And it really helped me. It helped me a lot with my situation and with what I'd gone through. And then all of a sudden I had a whole bunch of movies written down. And then I was just like, I mean, I guess we could propose this to somebody. And then it became a book and made it into Barnes and Noble. And yeah, pretty crazy.
It's amazing how God just uses us when we become available. And I've said this a lot, nearly every one of my podcasts, I say this, is that he doesn't always call the equipped, but he does equip who he calls. So sometimes, you say, well, God, if you want me to do this, I don't know how to do it. It's up to you.
Yeah, I might have to steal that from you.
I stole it from somebody else, and I've been using it for a long time.
All right.
Yeah. So we do come to him just as we are.
Yeah.
One of my favorite areas in the scriptures is in the book of Acts, where the disciples came and they saw the disciples doing amazing things after Christ died, miracles. God was just doing miracles to these guys, and they said, "Weren't these guys unlearned and uneducated men?" And they said they are, but they had been with Jesus. Well, there's your qualifier right there.
Yeah, not even, like unlearned, all that, but also like a bunch of misfits, a bunch of people that like were just doing their own thing and like not, just like doing whatever they wanted to do. So, yeah.
If he could use John and Peter and he could use them, he could use me.
Yeah, it's good.
This has been a trying time, and you talk about losses. Is there anything that you've learned through these trying times?
This has been really tough, right? It's been a really tough couple of years, and if I'm to be encouraging to anybody or any sort of lesson that I've learned, I guess plans get taken from us. It just happens, and it's kind of working through that pain and working through that process, and kind of finding a catharsis through it, finding something that would help you, whether it's painting or writing or singing or doing something that you feel like you could connect to God with, and let God meet you in your pain and in your circumstances, because in no way has this season been easy. Right. I think maybe I encountered like a couple people that were like, it's been cool, but no, it hasn't been, for a large portion, of people. It's really tough. It's a tough season, and dealing with tough seasons is, go ahead.
And I think we all have had people, I've lost so many family and friends in this last yearish, from just death alone, that there, it reminds you of losses, but he gives us that hope in which we could long for and know that he's there, and that's the big comfort.
He walks with us through the pain. He walks with us in that journey, and it's tough, but he's with us.
Well, Phil, how can people get a hold of your book? It's fairly easy to get a hold of it on the internet, right?
Yeah. I mean, just Google, you can Google search it, Jesus Loves Movies. I have a website, jesuslovesmovies.com. It's everywhere you could find books. It's on ebook. It's on Audible as well. Yeah.
Now I'm going to put down below in the credits there, or credits in the comment section, about how to get the book too as well, and some of the sources for you to get them. As you get his book, or you look and maybe consider getting his book, more important than that, I want you, when you think of Phil and think of movies, be praying for Phil. And I've asked a lot of my guests to pray for, or a lot of my folks who watch, regulars who watch Morning Moments, pray for my guests. I'm going to ask them to definitely take time right now, and after this interview is over, take some time and say, God, I want you to be with Phil right now, and pray that God would bless him, use him, because he's doing some great things. There's some great things that's happening with this book. And whenever there's great things, there needs to be more prayer. And so I'm going to ask everybody just to say a word for prayer for Phil today.
Thanks, Andy. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you for joining us today, Phil. And for you that are my regular viewers, and maybe this is your first time you came to watch Morning Moments, I want to thank you. Keep coming back, and keep encouraging others. And may God richly bless you all. Thank you.